Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to do a quick comparison of my favourite kind of makeup tool, I guess, and that is my beauty blender, which is a bit dirty because I used it yesterday and I've just used it for this video, versus these cheaper alternatives that I picked up from Primark earlier this week. A lot of people that I know have used them online, so I thought I'd give them a go because I've heard that they're really good dupes for the beauty blender, and quite a few people have actually asked me about them and cheaper alternatives, so I thought I'd do a video. So in the video on this side, which is my right side on the camera I think, but it's actually my left side of my face, I am using the beauty blender and I am going to use it to apply a variety of products, including my foundation, highlight, contour and powder. And then I'm going to do the same thing using these on this side, and then I will give you a final thought. So if you are interested in seeing how these work, then please keep watching. So the first thing I'm going to do is using the Makeup Forever foundation. I am going to, on one side of my face, use my beauty blender to just blend in the foundation how I usually would. I'm just adding another pump to give me some extra coverage, and I'm just blending that in again and just dabbing that all over one side of my face. So this is how I would usually do my base using my beauty blender. I've probably used about 1.5 pumps of these. You can see I've still got product on my hand, and now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side, and I am going to use this sponge, which is from Primark, and I think it was £2 for this one individually. It comes individually packaged and it's got a flat side on one side. It's kind of like a mixture of a dupe of a beauty blender and the Real Technique sponge, so I'm going to see how this one works. And in terms of softness, they're probably about the same, but you can see up close, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, that the material is very different. So this one has like little bubbles in it, which is obviously where the product dabs in and blends in, and this one's really flat. It's just like there isn't much air that can get into that, and I think it probably does absorb a little bit more product. So we will see if I can do this side using 1.5 pumps using this sponge. So using the exact same technique I used on the other side, I am just dabbing that foundation back into my skin. Now as you can see, I very quickly actually used up the product that was left on my hand, so I added another pump to see how I went. I felt like this sponge placed the product on my skin but didn't really blend it very well, and it didn't give me kind of a flawless look that I was aiming for. So I've now used 1.5 pumps. So I'm actually going to do one more pump using the pink sponge. Now there is a big difference in the texture between these sponges. Now this pink sponge came in a pack along with these, and these feel a little bit softer, so I'll be interested to see if this pink sponge is actually any better at blending in on the foundation side. So I'm just going to do one more pump. So this pack was actually latex free, which is probably why they felt a different texture to the black sponge, but I did prefer how this worked on my skin, even though it was very, very hard. So I actually think this is better, even though it's not as soft and it's a little bit harder. I feel like I'm kind of beating up my face a bit with this, but I do feel like it puts the foundation on a lot better, whereas I feel this kind of just places the foundation on and doesn't really blend a lot. I still think this side looks a lot better and a lot more airbrushed and finished, whereas this one looks a bit patchy and I actually look a little bit orange. So now I am going to go in with my Maybelline Fit Me Concealer and go and highlight in the places that I usually would. So that is mainly underneath my eyes, on my forehead, down the bridge of my nose and on my chin. And because I wanted a little bit of extra coverage, I'm also going to use the Tarte Shape Tape, and I'm just going to dab a few bits on. And then again on one side, I am going to dab that all out with my beauty blender. And I'm just lightly dabbing that out into the areas where I want to place it. And what I find with my beauty blender is that it is so easy and versatile to use with so many different products, and it doesn't absorb a lot of the product, as you will see here. So you can still see the product on my skin, but it just blends in so well and gives kind of an airbrush finish. And now I'm going to use these smaller blenders on the other side. So I'm using the kind of medium size orange one first to blend that in on one side. And then I'm using this teeny little yellow one, and I think Beauty Blender actually do versions of this. I just don't have them. I just use the normal size one that I have. I have to say, I surprisingly really liked these small little sponges. I think they did a really good job, and even though you probably saw me put on more concealer, that was more so because this side looks like it's got so much better coverage, I think because of the base and the way that my Beauty Blender did the base, and this side didn't quite even out because of the base. But in terms of the way it blended the concealer, I think it blended it really well. I really like these two, so they came in the multi-pack with the pink one. And now I am going to do my contour, which I also use my Beauty Blender for. So you can see I actually use my Beauty Blender for so many different things, and if you want a cheaper alternative, or if you're a makeup artist and you want something to use on clients, it can get really expensive to work through beauty blenders. So that's why I'm trying to work out different alternatives, because they are so versatile to use. So now I am going to go in and do my contour and see how that works. So to contour, I'm going to use this Bobbi Brown Concealer, which is a few shades darker than my usual skin tone. And I have just placed my Beauty Blender into the palette of the product, and I'm just dabbing that onto the areas that I want to contour. And that gives a really blended contour without the lines, which is why I like to do it that way. I do a few layers just to give myself that dimension of my contour, so now you will see that it's starting to layer up a bit. And now I am going to do the exact same thing using the same method on the other side, using the orange medium sized Beauty Blender. And again, to add a bit of extra dimension, I will do another layer on top and just dab that in and blend it out. And last but not least, I am just going to set everywhere, again using my Beauty Blender, and see how that works out. Using my Soap & Glory Kick-Ass Setting Powder, I am now setting one side of my face using my Beauty Blender. So I just dab the blender into the compact and then just pat that over the areas that I have concealed and highlighted. To quickly go over and do any of my powder contour and blush, because I don't use a Beauty Blender to do any of that, and then I will give you my final thoughts. So I'll be back in one sec. I've literally got a few minutes because my camera is on 1%, so I am going to give you my final thoughts on these Primark beauty blenders. So I have to say, in conclusion basically, I don't think I'll be throwing away this beauty blender because it does an amazing job and lays the foundation on my skin really well. And as you know, if your foundation is looking good and flawless, then the rest of your base will just set just as well. I, however, was surprised by this multi-pack, which is the pink, orange and the yellow, and I really liked how they worked on my skin. I was less impressed with this individual black beauty blender that came. I just felt like, even though it feels like a beauty blender, it absorbs a lot of the product, and it kind of placed it on my skin but didn't blend anything, which is kind of not what I want. So what I would recommend is, if you are looking for a cheaper alternative, then this multi-pack is definitely worth the money. I think it's like £2. Oh, I'm dropping them, £2.50 for 3, so you can't go wrong, whereas I think beauty blenders are £15 or something, I can't really remember. But for the price difference, it's definitely worth you getting these. Now my favourites, I've dropped one, so let me pick it up, are probably the orange and the yellow, and I think this yellow works really well to conceal under the eyes, and the orange works really well to do any contour and highlighting. But because I didn't think this pink one was great, just because it felt like I was hurting my skin by how kind of hard it is, I would probably use the middle orange one to do my base as well if I was looking for a cheaper alternative. So those are my thoughts on the cheaper alternatives from Primark on beauty blenders. I do recommend them as a cheaper alternative, but if you can afford a beauty blender or really want one, I still think they live up to the hype. It's still my favourite product to apply foundation, highlight and contour with, so I won't be throwing it away anytime soon. But I will probably be using these ones more so on clients because they're a lot easier and more versatile to use, and you can keep using them and go through them without worrying about any hygiene problems and throwing them away basically. So I was actually quite impressed by these, which I thought I'd be less impressed by because this one was actually £2 by itself, whereas these were £2.50. So again, like I said, you can't really go wrong for the price. So if you want to go out and try them for yourselves, then I highly recommend you go and do that. Thanks for watching my thoughts. Sorry about rushing through before my camera cut off. Bye!